Hey guys, I'm down here. This is gonna be my chapter review to One Piece Chapter 948. Kawamatsu the Kappa takes the stage. This chapter was dope. I was gonna break it down into scenes. I have kind of two review formats where I either break it down into scenes or where I just go through the chapter, which is usually the longer of the two. The latter, just going through the chapter. But I feel like this one deserves just going through the chapter as a whole because I really really enjoyed it. So let's get right down to it. This might be a bit of a longer review. Hopefully I can narrow it down a bit. So we start off with Luffy just absolutely demolishing all of the little gifters and things like that, the peons essentially of the Kaido beast pirates, and he's essentially trying to practice, or he is practicing his new form, his elevated form of Buso Shoku no Haki, this elevated form of the color of arms. So he's trying to imagine his haki kind of flowing through his body and like bubbling up at his fist into his enemies, rather than just coating himself in it and using that as an armor to take out his enemies, which has been good stuff. So he's doing that. Obviously, Old Man Hyogoro is like, yeah, this dude's a badass. We have Okiku speaking on how they should go rescue Olin and all that good stuff. And then we have the Babanuki guy, the warden of the prison, essentially call on the prisoners and tell them to hold down Luffy. And I was like, I had the same reaction as Luffy. I was like, bruh, the prisoners ain't gonna do shit to Luffy. But they proceed to actually listen to Babanuki and they start holding down Luffy. And I thought this was a really, really interesting part of the chapter because it shows the dynamics of what's going on and the history behind Wano and what Luffy cannot at the moment, what he cannot change by himself, being someone from outside of Wano, being a foreigner. So they kind of explain here what their history is as they're holding on to it. They're like, we love the fact that you're standing up for us and for yourself against Kaido, and you've taken out so many of his subordinates. But what's going to happen once we get out of here? Kaido and Orochi still control the entire country. What are we going to do? What's your plan once we're out of here? Because so far we've seen nothing to suggest that you could beat them, and we've already fought against them once 20 years ago, where we all banded to get revenge for Kuri's daimyo, who was Lord Odin, Kozuki Odin. And like I think I've mentioned this before, we have in Japanese culture, or at least back then, in like the Wano-esque periods. I'm not sure what actual time frame it was, but back when they had like a shogunate, they would have the shogun, who is kind of like the military leader of the country. They would have the emperor, who was essentially the elected leader of the country. But I say elected. I think it might be more of a religious. There might be more of a religious aspect to that. But essentially, you have the emperor, the leader. You have the shogun, who is the military leader and commands by that respect. And then beneath them, you have kind of daimyo of different areas um, around Japan. So you'd have the Ida prefecture, you'd have all the other prefectures and all that stuff, and you'd have daimyos of those areas. And that's why Odin was of this Kuri area, and but then he obviously eventually became. Um, did he become shogun, or was he was emperor? I think he was the kind of yeah, he was the emperor um, of Wano. Anyway, going back to the story, they tell Luffy that their plans of rebellion had been foiled by Kaido 20 years ago, and they'd lost all their friends and family, and this is why they're broken. Like we saw Lord Yasui's execution just on the TV and stuff like that, and it's brought back all those memories, all that pain of defeat. We can't go through that again. They're broken men because of what they've gone through, because of the history that they've suffered through, and because of what they've done in Wano for being brave, for being warriors. So these are the guys that were on Kozuki's side, Kozuki Oden's side to begin with. Um, and they're just like, even if we do manage to escape, we don't have home, we don't have food, we don't have families. No matter where we go, there's no freedom for us in this country. And they bring back that idea of, you're an outsider, a foreigner. How can you understand the pain that we've been through? We understand, and we're cool with you just causing as much trouble as you want, but we don't want to be dragged down into this mess that you're creating, because you don't know the situation that we face, and you don't know the terrors of the situation we're in. So Luffy's obviously he's very hesitant here because he doesn't know what to say to people who've lost their entire friends, their entire families and their friends. So he's really in a pickle here. and he can't inspire these guys because they don't know who he is. He's just Luffy Taro who's come in, and it seems to be pretty strong. Same with Kid, they don't know who the guy is. They have boundaries. They have solid borders, closed borders around the country. Um, and I don't even think they received the news from like the pelicans, or what they call the seagulls. I forgot what they call the news coups. So then we see something that Daifugo, sorry, yes, Daifugo, the scorpion kind of. Oh, I've forgotten what his title is, but he's also one of these kind of prison wardens beneath Babanuki, and he has these pistols which shoot out excitement bullets, which was I think maybe a poor translation by Japanese box, but they do also reference that it's called a double meaning is it's a plague bullet, and this was really cool because he has these bullets. Essentially, if you shoot someone with it, they're infected with this plague, this virus, and if they're touched, it spreads to everyone who touches them. And the person who designed this is Queen. So Queen is actually he likes to create mechanical weapons and infectious diseases. So that's where Queen the Plague most likely comes from. So he's getting ready to shoot Luffy. He's like, you're gonna get the shit poison out of you. Luffy says those bullets won't work on me. I'm not sure if this is because of his resistance to poison or whether he just clad himself in haki and it would bounce off or something like that. But Daifugo is a little bit more intelligent than he let on. He says, I'll just shoot someone next to you and the plague will spread to you. You got no chance. We hear a kappa pa 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 in the back. Kawamatsu is laughing and he's like, tell them the truth, Straw Hat Boy. Tell them that there's hope. So he's talking about the prisoners here. He's like, you need to reignite the flames within their hearts. And I was like, this is pretty cool because I'm getting from this whole prison scene and this kind of Wano feel. I'm getting a very 47 Ronin vibe, and I'm not talking about the Hollywood movie. I'm talking about the historical event that occurred. And if you've read into it or if you've learned about it, it was epic what they did. Whether or not it was as epic as as it's been made out to be, who knows? I don't know. But from a romanticized historical perspective, this reminds me of that, and I was getting that same vibe. You know, oh, this is going to be amazing. There's going to be a build up. There's going to be a reignition of like the flames within people's hearts, and there's going to be a rebellion. So I was like, this is going to be sick. So Luffy's like, who is this guy? Okiku recognizes the laugh straight away, and then we're told about the sentence that Kawamatsu was given 13 years ago, which was feed him poisonous fish from the factory, the wastewaters, the runoff, and he will die a slow, painful death. Um, and Babanuki's like, if he tries to kill us, I'll make sure he dies, like, and make it look accidental. And then he tells everyone that that person within there is one of the 9 red scabbards, 9 red sheaths. I've forgotten what the Japanese for that was. Anyway, he orders to basically go get him killed. Everyone's like, all these little minor uh, waste characters essentially go and try to take out Kawamatsu, and he just sat there with his cuffs on, and he's like, "Yo!" He just shouts out, "I need to take my cuffs off." Not in kind of panic, but more just as a kind of shout out. I need to get these cuffs off so that I can kick some ass. I'm ready. Um, we then see Raizo escape from wherever he was getting the keys and getting Kawamatsu's blade actually. Then we see Kawamatsu take out a few guys with the fish bones he has. Awesome stuff. We've seen it before. And just in time, Raizo throws him his blade and the keys to his cuffs, and he's in there. And this was awesome. This part, he's like, this brings back memories. My beloved blade, the Soto Muso. And apparently, this is named after a type of sumo move where the sumo uses their arm to trip the opponent's leg. So it's a really weird name for a blade, but I suppose you, as a samurai, you would name your own blade, or do other people name it for you? Let me know in the comments. I assume because he seems to be a very big fan. He asks if these other Kaido's men, if they enjoy sumo wrestling, if they like sumo wrestling. So I assume he's a very big sumo wrestling fan, and especially considering in the next page, the next couple pages, we're told that he was the Yokozuna, which is the number one sumo wrestler of the country. Um, so he then proceeds to use a couple moves. The one's called Yagara Ryuo, which is apparently Yagura is a type of Japanese or a skull. I don't know. That's skull spelled with a C. Um, but yeah, the fact that he says Ryuo makes it kind of ties into Old Man Hyogoro. So maybe he's like, is he essentially using haki as well? Is that just what they refer to it as? But yes. So Raizo's like getting excited, like, yeah, this guy's he's back in town. This is gonna be This is gonna be that business. Okiku's like, yep, that's Kawamatsu, and I feel like this is where I started to really realize that Jaimini's box's translation was a lot better, and it flowed and it made more sense than Manga Stream. I understand Manga Stream's ethos of kind of localization versus literal translation, but in chapters like this, and I've noticed it for a while, Jaimini's box just does such a better job of actually like it's not, this isn't even localization. This is just better translation in English. It makes more sense when he says it feels as if you are swimming against a raging current. It is known as the Kappa sword style. What Manga Stream said, I can't remember what they translated it as, but it made absolutely no sense, and I was like, what does that mean? But yeah, so Kawamatsu comes out. He's ready. He's going in straight away with his Minamugawa. I read the translation. Apparently, Minamu, something like that, is a possible reference to a river in Thailand or something like that. Mainam Chao, Praya, or something like that. But Kawamatsu, his design is pretty cool. I mean, like, he looks very cutesy and stuff like that. But he's a kappa, very chubby. He's got the kind of red circles around his cheeks. I think that's something that's always portrayed with sumo wrestlers for some strange reason. Maybe it's something that they used to portray sumo wrestlers in plays and stuff like that. I don't know. But whenever you see like this comical sumo wrestler character, you'll always have the the reddened cheeks. I think even the O lineman in Ice Shield 21. I'm pretty sure his name is Futu something. He had the same kind of design with the reddened cheeks. So I don't know, but Kawamatsu looks pretty cool. He's got that kind of. He's got the samurai-esque hat. I forgot what it's called. There's literally a village in Wano named after it. Um, but yeah, he has that hat, the kind of straw hat, and we're told here Kawamatsu the Yokozuna, and he's also a kappa, and yeah, I think his design is pretty cool. One thing to kind of remember is that he's not like a midget kappa. He's huge. He's absolutely huge. He's almost as tall as Okiku, which we actually see in a few seconds. Anyway, they regroup with Kawamatsu. He's surprised to see Kiku. He's surprised to see Raizo. Essentially a reunion, and then he throws up that 13 years worth of poisonous fish he's had. Um, Babanuki's like, all right, get ready. We're gonna kick the shit out of him. Kiku threatens the prisoners. She's like, get the frick off of Luffy. And they all say, who's that huge woman? Referring to Kiku. They all say that. Old man Hyogoro looks at Kiku and Raizo. He's like, show them who you really are, the prisoners here. And this is once again that kind of moment where it really reminded me of the 47 Ronin, where he speaks about these prisoners. He's like, these people who are beaten down, broken, people who have had their wills shattered and thrown aside. You need to you need to meld them back together some way, shape, or form. You need to inspire these people on the spot right now, reignite the flames of rebellion in them. You cannot just remain concealed with your handkerchiefs around your head and stuff like that. Make them realize who you are. Make them realize what they're fighting for. They can't fight for a foreigner in Luffy because that's not in them. They're not going to fight for this foreign presence. You need to show them that the nine red chiefs are alive, and you need to show them what they're fighting for. So they're just like, you know what? You're right, old man Hyogoro. Your age has given you wisdom. So we see Raizo take off his handkerchief around his head. We see Kiku wear this Hanya mask. Looks awesome. I think it's a Hanya mask. It might even be. Now I'm looking at it. It's not really. It's not a demon mask. It's more like. It's kind of like a mix between like the eyes are very kitsune-ish, like a fox lady, um, but the rest of the mask looks very Hanya with the kind of curved outward teeth and the horns. Hanya mask deluxe, and I was like, anytime I see a Hanya mask, I know that character is gonna be badass. So I was like, oh, Kiku, she's gonna be sick. Yeah, so Luffy, Kawamatsu, Raizo, Oman Hyogoro, Kiku, they stood there looking dope as shit, getting ready to clap some ass. I was like, this is gonna be amazing. So then the prisoners recognize Okiku. This is the first time we've had any recognition of Okiku, I think. And they say he died inside Odin Castle, right? Is that not the mask worn by the most beautiful swordsman in the Wano country, Kikunojo, the Lingering Snow? Now, any character with a wintry title, a wintry epithet, is it epithet? I've done this before. Yeah, so any character with a wintry epithet like Lingering Snow, the Winter Gale, or something like that, they're always going to be badass. And then it says, huh? You're a man? Referring to Okiku, I'm a woman at heart. Your mask is scary. You, you're a man. I'm a woman at heart. Your mask is scary. What? What? I am a woman at heart. Rah.
Ow! Oh, Why?
And that was pretty much my reaction for when I found out that Okiku, this tall, relatively modestly drawn, but very pretty lady, is a man. And you know what? I'm a little bit disappointed. This is the one blemish on the chapter for me, apart from the, One Piece will be on break next week. I feel like one of the red sheets could have been a woman, man. I mean, like, I understand, yeah, Okama, cool, Pride Parade, all that good stuff happened yesterday in London, but I really wanted there to be a samurai of class, of strength, who was just a woman. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, well, I say just a woman, but who was a woman of strength, character, and just someone who anybody could aspire to be like in terms of in the One Piece universe. So I was disappointed by that. Still disappointed by that. It didn't I felt like Kiku didn't have to be a man. I realized there have been previous kind of suggestions, but I'm not a fan. Anyway, with that, Old Man Hyogoro's like, well, actually, it's not Old Man Hyogoro. The prison's like, oh, look, that's Kawamatsu the Yokozuna. That's Old Man Hyogoro, the Yakuza, the Yakuza boss. That's Raizo, the Fukurokuju's biggest rival. Fukurokuju being the leader of the only Wabanshu at the moment. That's Kikunojo, the Lingering Snow. Best title I've seen in a while. And then they're like, who is this Luffy Taro person? So this is where they start to make the connections. These are heroes of our past. These are heroes of the rebellion that we fought alongside of. And then who's Luffy? Who's he? This foreigner fighting alongside with these guys. So this will hopefully reanimate their pride. It will make them see that Luffy, even though a foreigner, is fighting for their cause, and they that alongside with that pride will feel the shame of we tried to tie down this guy. We tried to hold him down. This is not the way of Wano. This is not the way of Kozuki Oden. As usual, Chopper is unidentified. No one knows who he is. And then we get this really menacing panel, the last panel, where Kikunojo says, we cannot let that happen, referencing anybody getting away. Now that you've seen us, we will have to silence you. With that, the chapter ends. That's the end of chapter 948. An amazing chapter. I really enjoyed it. Got fully trapped by Oda in regards to Kikunojo, and I think a lot of people were trapped, so I'm not too ashamed, but a little bit. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Apologies for it having been so long, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.